it was a young lady in court, and I'm seeing her crying, and then I started hearing what they were saying about her situation. She was in there being charged with a crime called something. Let me see. It's called like pretty much tampering with the remains of a fetus or something like that. Some crazy charge like that, right? Essentially, what happened is this young lady had a miscarriage in a toilet, and she tried to flush the toilet, and it wouldn't. The baby got stuck, right? So the baby got stuck. She went to the hospital and said she went to the hospital because she had a miscarriage and she was bleeding, and they called the police on her. They called the police on a young black lady who went to the hospital bleeding because she had a miscarriage. They didn't give her, they might have given her care, but they didn't just give her care and send her on her way because she just told them she had a miscarriage. They called the police on her. I'm assuming they thought she gave herself an abortion. I don't care if you thought somebody gave herself an abortion. Why would you call the police on them while they're in a state like that? I'll say in a situation like that, because if I say state, y'all might confuse that with something else. Why that person is in that mental position, why would you call the police on them, right? So this is what happened. This young lady was having a hard time with her pregnancy. She was about 21, 22 weeks pregnant, right? And she wasn't feeling right at all. She went to the hospital. The hospital told her, like they tell a lot of black women, ain't nothing wrong with you. Go home. And then she went back to the hospital. And you know what they told her? The same thing again. There's nothing wrong with you. Go home. So she went home. She was in immense pain. And when she went to the bathroom, she thought she had to use the bathroom. She passed the baby. Actually, no. When she went to the doctor one of those times, they told her, you don't have any fluid around it. Pretty much her water broke way too early at 20 weeks. There's no fluid around the baby. Your baby is dead, or AKA not viable is what they told her. This is not a viable pregnancy. This baby is going to come out of you as a miscarriage, right? And they still sent her home. They didn't monitor her and say, let's let you have this miscarriage here in the office. In the hospital. Let's try to induce it. Let's try to watch you until we make sure and guarantee that you're safe, that you won't die when this 20-week miscarriage comes out of you. They didn't do that. They told her, yo, you're going to have a miscarriage at the crib. Now get out, beat it. This is what they did to her, right? So she goes home, go to the bathroom. She's already known because the doctor just told her you're about to have a miscarriage at home. They didn't tell her you're about to have a miscarriage at home, catch it in a napkin and bring it to us. They didn't say that. They said you're going to go home and have a miscarriage. She went home, had the miscarriage. She did what everybody who has a miscarriage in a toilet does. She flushed the toilet. That's what you do with a miscarriage. I don't know if this is too graphic, it's too gruesome. I don't know. But if y'all don't know, that's what happens. These women, a lot of times they have miscarriages earlier than that. And normally, if they're that far along, the hospital will keep them and look at them and make sure that they're safe so that they don't die having a miscarriage. I don't know what the hell is going on in Trumbull County, which I was born in Trumbull County. So it really hit home for me. I was born there. So Trumbull County, Ohio, sent this lady home while she was 20 weeks pregnant. Y'all know what 20 weeks is. They giving you genders. They doing 3D sonograms and all that type of stuff, ultrasounds. You could see the baby, faces and all that. Not faces, but that you could see the baby at that time. So the hospital knew how critical that, like losing like a baby like at that size coming out. So went home, had the miscarriage in the toilet, flushed it. Again, that's what you do. That's what people do with miscarriages in the toilet. And I'll say that's what people do most of the time they have a miscarriage in the toilet. And the fetus, who was already dead while it was inside her body, by the way, it didn't die from her flushing the toilet. It was already dead because it had been in her body without any fluid for who knows how long. She flushed the toilet. The fetus got stuck. Ouch. That really added insult to injury, right? So the fetus got stuck and she actually tried to plunge it out. So like I said, it's a sick situation. It's a sick story. But the thing about it is, how do you blame that woman for that? What else was she supposed to do? I don't like if the doctor didn't tell her, yo, have the miscarriage on a towel and bring it in, bring it back to us. What do they think? That's what a lot of people have miscarriages at home in toilets and they flush them. The abortion pill that you get forces a miscarriage at home and you flush it. That's what happens to it. If it gets stuck, you have to plunge it, and that's just how it's going to go. So she had the miscarriage in the toilet, tried to plunge it, didn't work. She wasn't feeling right still. She was bleeding, what they say, profusely. Or no, let me see the words. They said hemorrhaging. Let me see what word they used. I think they said hemorrhaging. She came in the hospital, effed up. What was the word? I want to say the exact word they used. Excuse me. Oh, my bad. I'm just trying to skim through it now. It's wow. No, this is really just sick to me. She went to the hospital and she was bleeding profusely, right? She told them what happened. Instead of them being a caring facility and giving her the proper care she needed and saying, you know what, we're sorry, we're going to get you a plumber, we're going to recommend something. Anybody, you don't have to give her a plumber, but if you just want to be helpful, you can recommend a plumber or whatever to her, right? Instead of them doing that, they called the police on the lady. The police came, found out what was going on, and arrested her, right? And then they went to her house and removed the toilet from the house and put it into evidence. I guess the baby wasn't in the toilet, it was in the pipes. So then they broke the pipes down. These are sewage pipes now. Broke up the pipes until they could get the fetus. And then they took that to the police station, I guess. A medical examiner determined nothing that the young lady did caused any damage to that fetus. Meaning, from the plunging and from the baby going down the pipes and all this other stuff, there was no bruising or anything like that because the baby had been dead. And dead bodies don't bruise, right? Because the blood is not going to move to the spot. But they determined that she didn't cause this injury. This baby was already dead inside of her body. Her body just needed to pass it. So essentially, they were going to court to figure out if they were going to move forward with this case. And the prosecutor argued for them to move forward. He said, no person except as authorized by law shall treat a human corpse in a way that would outrage reasonable community sensibilities. What reasonable community would have a problem with that woman doing that? Some people in the comments was trying to say, oh, she flushed the baby down the toilet and went on about her day. No, she didn't. She flushed the baby and then she went to the hospital. She went to the hospital to report to them what just happened. What else was she supposed to do? This is my whole thing, right? You got two major forces acting against her. And I'm sorry that I'm talking about this for so long. It's just such a sick thing that I feel like we got to talk about it. You have two major forces, systemic forces acting against this young lady and us as a whole. Let's talk about it, right? The medical system is a major problem when it comes to the treatment of Black women, especially Black mothers expecting or attempting to get pregnant or people who had just had babies. The treatment of Black women in the medical industry is just, it's enough to make me never want to go deal with them people. Like, I don't like dealing with doctors, and I don't even understand why people try to get me and other black men that try to deal with doctors when we see how bad and how poorly they treat black women. I'm talking about literally, they told the lady, oh, your water broke a while ago and your baby don't have none. And they told her to go home like that. 20-week pregnant. Go home with that dead baby inside you and let us know how it goes. No extensive checking, nothing to make sure that she would be safe, none of that. Right? And then when she came back to report what happened, they called the police on her. So you got the medical industry treating black women like that. And then you got the criminal justice industry treating black people crazy. They do stuff like this. We're going to charge you with the crime first. We're going to arrest you first. And we'll find out if there needs to be a case for this. We'll find out later. But the first thing we're going to do with you is put you in jail. That's first. You know how sometimes we hear about these police shootings with these cops shooting people and all that, and people, or just random, any white person shooting somebody, and we're asking, how are they not arrested yet? It's because they do all of the due diligence first. They follow the whole due process and the criminal process first before arresting white people. They say, let's figure this out. Let's investigate first. Let's make sure we have proof before they arrest a white person. When it comes to black people, it's, do we have probable suspicion? If we have suspicion, we'll arrest you, and then you can figure out why we shouldn't have arrested you later on. You can figure out why you need a bond hearing for the arrest that you shouldn't have been arrested for. Figure that out later on. If you don't have a lawyer to figure it out for you, then you just got to sit. If you don't have lawyer money, you'll just have to sit. Think about this. They arrest us first and tell us figure it out later. With white people, they figure it out first and decide if they should arrest them. Remember, Ahmaud Arbery was killed by those white men? Those white men took the videotape of them killing that man to the police. He didn't get arrested till it made a national story. Months later. They didn't get arrested until months later when it made national news. The police in that area were not going to arrest. Now imagine I go, or let's say a group of black men take a video of them killing a white dude to the police. I'm going to take a video of us killing a white man to the police. Do y'all think they're going to let us leave that police station? They're going to arrest us now and investigate later. And that's what they did to this young lady in this miscarriage situation. They arrested her now and then had a hearing later to see if we should move forward with the case. And the prosecutor convinced the judge and said, yeah, we're going to move forward. But she shouldn't have been arrested until after that hearing. You shouldn't arrest her before you decide if we're going to move forward with the case. I don't think she should have been arrested at all. But if she had to be arrested, it should have been after that hearing. After we decide this is a viable case, let's move forward with it. They do this to black people all the time. Arrest now, figure it out later. Arrest them now, investigate later. That's how you see so many people, so many black people in these situations where, like, how are we at trial with these weak ass cases? It's because they didn't even investigate until you said you was going to take it to trial. Think about that. The police will arrest a black person. The prosecutor will move forward and maybe give them a plea deal. Say, hey, look, plead guilty to this. We'll give you 5 years. You get a year probation afterwards. They haven't done any there was no investigation yet. They just came to you with the offer. After you done sat for a few months because of you couldn't afford a bond, right? They didn't investigate it at all. They don't start investigating cases when it's a black defendant until the black person says, I'm taking it to trial. That's when they investigate. That's when the investigation starts. Then we see, so why you see a dude and he like, yeah, I beat a murder case. Like you hear, plenty of black people I done heard say they beat murder cases. How you even get to that point? The reason you got to that point is because they arrested you first and investigated later. When they got in trial, that's when they realized, damn, we don't even have nothing. We don't have a case, but they still go forward with it because it's like there's a chance that a jury still might convict you. So we're going to take our chances with that. And a lot of times they do still convict people. Just think about how sick that is, man. So you got two of these forces acting against black women. The medical system doing them like that, and then the criminal justice system doing black people the way they do them. So this lady is caught up in a whirlwind right now. The medical people are going to try to bury her. Most of the medical professionals in Trumbull County are white people. Most of the prosecution and judges are white people. She didn't stand a chance. Sometimes I wish all black people just lived in Atlanta. I'm not going to lie. Some people be like, oh, Atlanta is not going to fix all your problems and all that. That's cool. But sometimes I do feel like I wish all black people lived here. Because at least you will get the benefit of the doubt from a black person most of the time. If she was down here, they wouldn't have sent her home like that. They would have did every test they needed to do to make sure she was okay. They wouldn't, especially at that far along pregnant. Like, come on. They definitely wouldn't have called the police on the lady after she came back bleeding, saying she had a miscarriage in the toilet. They would not have done that. I could just see the face of the white lady now that called the police on that young lady. I could just see her face. Like I said, I'm from up there. I was born probably in the hospital she was at. Maybe not the hospital she was at. I don't know. But I'm saying I was born. I know what these people look like. I could just see the face. You feel me? I'm disgusted. Man. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I got a lot of work to do tonight. So some of my nerd computer coding, all that good stuff. I gotta do it. Gotta get to it. It's 10:30 at night. I'm tired. Man, free that lady, man. Her name is Brittany Watts. She's 33 years old. We probably went to elementary school together, man. It's sick. Brittany Watts out of Warren, man. Free her, man. That's sick. They got a GoFundMe for her. I don't have a link or nothing like that, but you know they have to raise money for this lady to get a new toilet put in her house because the police chiseled everything up out of there with the sewage and everything. Y'all know anything about sewage pipes? Listen, sewage pipes will let off this disgusting gas into your house. You have to plug it up and you have to do a good job plugging it, or it will just all of the gas. Pretty much all the gas coming from wherever sewage is going, landfill, wherever sewage is being pumped to in city plumbing, that gas is in those pipes. And it's coming from the landfill or wherever it's pumping to. It's coming from the waste place, the water treatment facility. It's coming from there all the way back up through those pipes. That's what they have, what they call a P-trap and all that type of stuff, because it stops the air from coming back through. So if they chiseled and broke up her pipes and all that type of stuff just to put it in evidence, like idiots, there's probably the smell of sewage in her house. Hopefully she got it fixed by now, but there's probably the smell of sewage in her place of living.